Crowd. This is Ron Lachine. That was.
The 26-year-old Honda rider from Berkshire is the 1989 World 500cc Motocross champion.
Johnson took the checkered flag and the 500cc crown. A few minutes later, he had this to say.
Thank God it's over.
That was a big year, 1982, for fine Motocross Donations performance. The Team Honda rider from Axton, Virginia took the opening hole shot and has not looked back. He's opened a huge lead over the rest of the field, a field that includes 5 world champions. Johnny O'Mara, meanwhile, is continuing to work his way through the pack, but O'Mara has his work cut out for him. In front of him, David Bailey, of course, in the lead, running in the number 2 position, rider number 42, David Thorpe from England. Gert-Jan van Doren, the Dutch rider, is currently holding down the number 3 position, with George Jobé running 4th. In 5th, it's the Austrian Heinz Kinnegartner, then Håkan Karlqvist, and Johnny O'Mara has worked to the number 7 position. The O-Show in corner number 1 was in the middle of the pack. By the time the first lap was in the books, he had moved all the way to 11th. On the second lap, he was 9th. On the third lap, he'd moved to 8th. And now moving into that number 7 position, and O'Mara is still closing. The O-Show is turning in one of the finest rides of his career. He's doing it on a 125, and he's doing it against the best motocrossers in the world.
So I got the whole shot, and Johnny got a pretty good start, actually, from like I thought. I kind of sweeped out and made room for him, and he came out in like 15th or something, and then he was in like 11th at the end of the first lap. So I was riding great. Prior to going to Italy, it was raining at my house. It wouldn't quit raining. So I made this little tight track on the 500, and Majora, except for the hills, everything's real tight, and it worked perfect. And I was just feeling good, and I pulling away. And I could see Johnny when I would do this big drop-off. I could see him like, oh, man, he's up to 6th, you know, and I think that's probably 5th. And I hear the crowd, he passed another guy, and then Jobé crashed, and then he's trying to get around Thorpe. And I think he had a front brake issue or something, but he was all over Thorpe, and I heard the crowd erupt, and I knew he got into 2nd. And I'm just like, that's just so awesome. I don't know if it counts, but there you go. We're winning. And so that was it. We sat on the box, on the podium, you know, just kind of talking to each other. And he took his helmet off. The visor was split, and it's all like chipped, like
from 500 roost. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he ate a lot of roost.
That track has some rocks too.
Yep. And he didn't let off. Great ride. I mean, just if there's a lot of rides I saw Johnny do that were great, but that one, I got to see in a couple of vantage points. I could see the aggression, and looking at pictures since and video, man. O'Mara, like, just absolutely.
God, you really needed a GoPro on your helmet back then to catch some of these moments, right?
It was awesome, and to
he was fan riding during donations.
I never really even thought about winning it myself because it was like it was Johnny.
Here's Thorpe, rider number 42, up over the top of the hill, and Jobé goes down. O'Mara has had the pressure on Jobé, and it's paid off as the O-Show moves into the number 3 position. David Bailey, meanwhile, is putting on a motocross clinic for the spectators. Bailey's performance is not surprising. The American riders have long been acknowledged as the best motocross riders in the world. From the middle of the pack on the opening lap, O'Mara caught the world champion George Jobé, who was then running in the number 3 position. He put the pressure on and kept it on. Jobé finally fell, and O'Mara went by. He has now caught Thorpe, and O'Mara, with an inside line driving up one of those hills he was talking about, has taken the measure of the world champion 500cc rider David Thorpe from England. And O'Mara has moved into the number 2 position. An incredible ride for the O-Show on a 125. David Bailey in the number 1 position has to have heard the tremendous roar of the crowd as O'Mara made that pass. Bailey has got to be wondering what is going on behind him. According to his pit board, he has, with just a couple of laps to go, at least a 20-second lead. Now, Bailey has slowed the pace considerably the last few laps, but he has to wonder now, should he pick it up? Just that. It's Johnny O'Mara. The O-Show, with a clear track in front of him, has started to pull away from Thorpe. Bailey is on the last lap of the second moto of the 1986 Motocross Donations, an event that so far has seen complete, total American dominance. O'Mara won the 125 in moto number 1. Johnson won the 250. In moto number 2, O'Mara will duplicate his feat, and David Bailey win the 500s. With one moto remaining and a score of 4 points, 1 point for each of the class wins, the American team will have clinched the Motocross to Nations. Here's Bailey across the finish line. He takes the checkered flag, and there's O'Mara. What a ride put in by the O-Show. That has to have been the best ride of O'Mara's career.
It was a perfect storm for us. For one, we were all 3 teammates. We all 3 were healthy. We all came off of first, second, third in almost every series, 120 or 500, 250, and Supercross. And Majora was a lot like, kind of like Carlsbad, kind of like Hondaland. You know, hard, slick, sketchy ground, steep hills up and down and stuff like that. And then you had all of us that had an agenda. Johnny was like, he wasn't going to let off. He was going to push and show Honda that they made a bad decision. David wanted to show that his 500 championship wasn't a fluke and that I wasn't the best guy in the world. He wanted to be the fastest guy. I wanted to prove that I was the best guy because I'd won the Supercross of the 250 outdoor, and so I went out there and attacked time practice over and over again so we could get our starting position. And yeah, you had Roger DeCoster, who had been there so many times as a race winner himself, and then as a team captain. So everything was perfect for us, you know, and we worked together too. We talked about who's going starting here, who's starting there. You know, the last moto, I said, I'll start in the front and I'm going to move over a little bit. So as soon as I come off the gate, David, you're going to have a rolling start. I'm going to move to the right and screw everybody out there, and I'm going to give you the clean path. Well, David actually got a better hole shot than starting on the gate because he was rolling by the time it went, and he was gone. You know, and then Johnny was a team player. They said, no way Johnny's be able to do that. So Johnny just had to start in the back, and he got a phenomenal start as well. You know, David opened up for him a little bit and was able to salvage it. So to me, everything worked right. We were all comfortable on the bikes. The bikes were great. Honda gave us great equipment, even though some of the other guys were on the works equipment. The track played to our favor, and the attitudes of all 3 of us just wanting to be the alpha male, but we weren't going against each other.
And so the final moto was me and Rick, and I had a big lead, kind of was being a jerk, you know, like I'm better, and, you know, kind of wanted to, you know, position myself back like, okay, that's how it was at Anaheim, and we're back to that, right? And just being selfish and stuff. And towards the end of the race, a few laps
selfish?
ago,
I'm confused.
I just did
going out and winning. To me, that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah,
but this was a team.
Yeah.
Thing. So I thought, you know, what the right thing to do would be to
win for your team.
Like, yep, that.
Kick
but
everyone's
like,
ass.
Slow down just a tad and just ease up a little and let Rick, because he's on a 250. I think I was riding well, and the 500 had good power to get up the hill. So I waited for him when we did the whole last lap because I'm like, okay, Johnny's going to be gone, and it's going to be me and Rick at Honda. So let's just kind of start that and end the day in a cool way. So that year in '86, Greg LeMond and Bernard Hinault in the Tour de France, they went across with both arms up. And so Rick reached over and grabbed my hand and put it up in the air. We went across like that.
Did you know he was going to do that?
No.
Okay.
Actually,
was there drama before that last turn? What happened there?
Well, I was thinking, hey, let me get out of your way so you can go over there, and we'll go across the finish line together on a wheelie or something. And when I hopped out of the rut, I did this little technical thing. He's like, what? And he hit my back tire and high-sided. And fortunately, it wasn't where a lot of people were standing. And so we were out of the view of everybody. He got up quick, and we took off, and then he reached over.
So did you stop and wait for him?
I waited for a second. Like, what? Was that my fault? You know, he's like, what? But we kind of, you know, rolled off of it really quick and rode across together, and we raised our hands, and then that was amazing. That was 5 years in a row that I got to be on the team.